Um, I'd like to start by bringing you greetings from the church that I normally attend, which, as Andrew said, is City Gate Church. For those of you who are paying attention, he said that I was also the diocesan ecumenical officer or advisor. Actually, do you know, it makes a big deal in the diocese whether it's advisor or officer. But anyway, I'm there to give some sort of ideas to the diocese about ecumenism. Now, for those of you who know the churches in Brighton and Hove quite well, and particularly in your deanery, you would have worked out by now that City Gate Church isn't part of your deanery, and that's because it's not a Church of England church. So either the Bishop of Chichester is completely mad, or he is being really radical. He was being really radical when he asked me if I'd take the post on. To have somebody who isn't an Anglican or from the Church of England advising and giving suggestions to the Church of England about how they might do things differently is quite a risk, really, because I don't know half the rules and regulations that all you guys have got to put up with every week. I don't know that Andrew knows all of them, but I'm sure that he's a long way further down the line than I am. So could I bring you greetings from City Gate Church? We do things very differently, but we're still part of the same church that you're part of. And that gospel reading was fantastic. It's so challenging. It never ceases to amaze me. In a week where politicians have been grappling with what it means to work together across traditions, and the press have gone mad about it, it never ceases to amaze me that we in the church, who were told by Jesus that unless we work together, and he did it in the form of a prayer, but unless we work together in practical ways, unless we work together in ways that are part of the gospel, then the world won't believe that 2,000 years later, we're still at times sitting in our nice sort of separated out groups and doing things our own ways. But it's exciting to be here with you this morning, and as I say, I bring greetings from City Gate. The other reading, which I just think is really pertinent to what I've got to say to you this morning, was that first reading, and that story about the jailer. Now I think that's so amazing, because in that story, the jailer came to faith not because of something that was said to him. I'm from an evangelical tradition, and I was brought up to believe that unless you present people with all of the right words and do it in the right order, that they won't get it. But actually, the jailer got it not because of anything that was said to him, but because of what happened, and because of the practical way in which those guys who were in prison and should have just shot out of there the moment the chains fell off, that was their cue really to leave, wasn't it? But they didn't, and as a result of that, the jailer came to faith. And I just think that's really fantastic, because what I'm here to talk to you about is incredibly practical and has very little to do with words, but it's very much about actions. And I'd really like you to join in with me. I was talking to Esme earlier on, and I said to her that I'd been told she'd heard about street pastors. Esme, I hope I'm not going to embarrass you now, but she told me how old she was, and let's put it like this, she's over retirement age. And she said she felt that she was a little bit on the old side for getting involved practically in street pastors. I was able to tell her that there's actually somebody training at the moment in Brighton to be a street pastor who's 75. So for any of you who's feeling I'd really like to do it, but maybe I'm a bit over the hill, I don't think any of you in the church this morning are, but there are lots of ways that you can get involved with street pastors, and I'll touch on a few of them. There's this great passage in Jeremiah 29 verse 7, where we're encouraged to seek, this is being spoken to exiles as I recall, but we're encouraged to, it says, and seek the peace of the city where I have caused you to be carried away captive, and pray to the Lord for it, for in its peace you will have peace. And in many senses, street pastors is all about that. It's about our commitment as Christians and those who are interested in the ways of God, saying, actually, we're really committed to what the good of the city. If I was to, in your talks, probably not many people ask you questions, I'm guessing. But anyway, if if I was to ask you to guess how many visitors there are to this city every year, would somebody like to hazard a sort of stab at that? A couple of million. Anybody like to? Now, you can do the rest with hands, so you don't need to speak out. But anybody be prepared to go up from a couple of million, let's say to 5 million? Anybody think it might be as high as 5 million, or between 2 and 5 million? A few hands. What about more than 5 million? Any hands? Yeah, excellent. Okay, well it's 8 million. 8 million people come and visit Brighton Hove every year. And of those, 7.3 million, that is a lot of people. That's nearly, well, let's say it's well over 10% of the population of this country come just for the day. And a large proportion of those, we don't know exactly how many, but a large proportion of those, their main focus is having a good time on a Friday, Saturday, or possibly on a Thursday night. A few even come on a Sunday night. And one of the things that Street Pastors is intending to do is to provide a little bit of support and a little bit of welcome to some of those visitors. Some of them come down from wherever they've arrived from, they go into the nightclubs, they have a good time, and they go home again, and nothing actually gets in the way of that, and that's fine, and that's great. I have to say, it's a long time since I went clubbing. There's few folk in the congregation who look like you might know what it's like to go clubbing, but I've never been a great clubber. But a few of them have a bit too much to drink. Now, having a bit too much to drink in your own home is one thing, but if you're out in the streets of Brighton to have a bit too much to drink can lead to all sorts of challenges. I know that there are hundreds of police officers who get rolled out of the police station at John Street just to look after some of the folk who've had a bit too much to drink. Some of them take other substances. I mean, at the end of the day, a drug is a drug, whether it's alcohol or something else. Although some obviously are legal and some are not. But the fact is that whatever the cause of their intoxication, it might just be feeling excited about life, but a lot of people just lose the sort of sense of what is appropriate behaviour and what isn't. And some of them can get quite violent, but some of them it's much more, I mean, violence is not a great thing to have to deal with, but for some people they lose their friends because they've perhaps had too much drink, their friends have gone off, or you might be able to imagine this, or did many people see the Brighton, what's it called? Beach Patrol. Yeah, did many people watch Brighton Beach Patrol? Hey, loads of you. Well, you'll have seen from that a few people arrived. I'm talking of mainly ladies now, but not exclusively the case. A few people arrive in high heels, and by the time they've had a bit too much to drink, they possibly can't actually see to the top of the high heels, and certainly can't walk in them. So they end up walking home in bare feet, and occasionally people break bottles, or bottles get broken. So sometimes people get cuts on their feet. Occasionally, as I say, people get separated from their party, and they get to feel a bit depressed because they're not sure how to get home. We were hearing yesterday in our training of a young lady who came down with some friends from Portsmouth. She'd had a bit too much to drink. She got thrown out of a nightclub, and her friends were left inside the nightclub. She had all of her coat and everything was in the nightclub, and there she was out in the streets of Brighton Hove, not knowing how to get home, and actually what she needed was somebody just to come alongside her and say, "Are you all right? Can we help?" And that's really what Street